On the last video, I got a lot of feedback about my little setup here and how it feels kind of like story time. So I guess this is Matt's Book Corner. It's a cold and rainy day, and everyone knows that that just makes you want to curl up inside with a good book. So I figured I would go ahead and share just a few books I've been really enjoying lately. But first, I have something that has really kind of changed my life in a good way when it comes to photo books, and that's this little device right here. Now, you probably already know where I'm going with this, but let old dad just do a little demo here. Let's kill that. Let's say I'm at home and I want to flip through some books and enjoy myself, you know. If I got a book in front of me, I can't really see anything, but you turn these bad boys on. What's that? Multiple settings. And now, you're in there. If you like to flip through some photo books, but maybe you don't have the best lighting, little device like this goes a long way. Tell you what, this was the best like $15 I've spent in a long time. I'm gonna link these down below. That's an affiliate link, so you want to support the channel without spending any extra money or costing you any extra to buy something like this, you can do that in the link down below. Just ask my wife. That is basically what she sees most evenings when I'm sitting in my recliner, flipping through photo books, enjoying a nice glass of water, bourbon, maybe have some jazz cabbage, whatever you like. The first book we have is Cyprian Honey Cathedral. This is by Raymond Meeks, and it was published by Mac Books. I purchased this from Baltimore Photo Space. It was recommended to me by my good friend Devin Blaskovich, and he felt like this was a book I would really connect with, and he was definitely right. I had seen a couple of the photos on Baltimore Photo Space's website, but I never really gave it like a second look. It just didn't seem like the kind of book that really would catch my eye, but I'm glad I actually purchased the book and gave it a shot because now I really enjoy it. It's really, it's made me think about the current project I'm shooting with my own home and just sort of the area around it as we're, you know, potentially looking into the last year of that house. And it's a house that I grew up in, that, you know, my kids have lived their entire life. And just the way that Raymond Meeks photographed a lot of this house, it definitely inspired me in a way to approach things a little bit differently, or at least consider things that maybe I hadn't considered before. You have a lot of these photos of this interior of the house and even exterior as well, and it looks like the house isn't in at least the best shape. There are some things that are kind of worn out or decaying, and there are a lot of photos as well of this woman, you know, and it's included throughout the book, and it's kind of like interweaved with all these different photos of this house, and it kind of adds to this just dreamlike feeling as you're flipping through the book, because you're seeing all of these different things and really fine detail stuff and working with a lot of shallow depth of field, and it really has this kind of whimsical feeling to it. And then pairing that with these photos of this woman as she's kind of tossing and turning, laying down in the bed, it's a really interesting kind of dynamic. There's some great poetry in the book as well, which I'm going to read just a small portion of. If I tell you about our house, tell you so well that you can imagine yourself living in it, it will no longer be my house. It will be yours, and I will be nothing but its former resident, just as the person who lived in your actual house before you is not even a thought for you. You will imagine me in rooms that belong to you, eating out of your refrigerator, sleeping in your bed, and in this way I too will become yours. Really fascinating book. Again, one that I hadn't really given much thought to just from seeing a couple of the photos, but this is one that you definitely need to sit down and spend time with in order to fully appreciate it, which I think that really goes for most books in general. But just at face value, there's a lot in this one to unpack. The next book we have from Hannah Starkey. This is Photographs 1997 to 2017. Also published by Mac Books and also purchased from Baltimore Photo Space. It was a book that I had never heard of, a photographer I had never heard of, but regularly going to Baltimore Photo Space's website and just browsing things, I came across this one and just thought a couple of the photos I saw were interesting. And it's this massive collection of, 20 years of photographs, and it's primarily all of women. It's interesting to see all these different photos of women from a woman's perspective, and it's all different ages, different places, it seems. It's just really, really interesting to see what kind of caught her eye. It doesn't feel like there's any heavy-handed story or anything like that. It's just showing women's perspectives and women's stories throughout individual frames and, you know, again, spanning 20 years. Some of them feel like paintings. Some of them feel like they could be movie stills, just the way the light and the scene itself is. It's one of those things that feels like you can't imagine just stumbling across a scene like that. I love this photo here. You have kind of the frame divided in half by this wall partition there. You've got all these girls sitting around a table. Interestingly enough, they're all kind of wearing different shades of blue on this half of the frame and kind of sub-framed against that wall. And then on the right side, you have this girl, you know, kind of by herself. And she has this kind of odd look on her face, and she's wearing a red shirt. Again, she's kind of separated on the other side. Really makes her feel like this kind of outsider. And it looks like it could be from a movie still. So this photo, it says it was made in February of '98, but not long after that, I noticed this photo in March of '99 kind of has a similar feel to it, almost like it was referencing the previous photo. So you've got these women here standing, kind of looking at this one woman by herself. Again, they're kind of sub-framed in this little like lower third rectangle against this wall, and they're all looking at this girl. Again, they're all kind of in blue and looking at this girl in red by herself. It's a really, really interesting kind of thing. I'm not sure what the context of it is, but that's one of my favorite things about a lot of these photos is that, you know, you have your title of the image and then you have the time it was taken without really any other context itself. It's just a really interesting photo, and you've got these kind of like biblical figures on the wall itself. You can just sit and flip through this book and just sort of imagine all these different stories. I love this one here at this old movie rental place with these pink neon lights, the big tube TVs up on the wall there. January of 2000. That is a forever lost time period, that's for sure. This is one of my favorites in the book. You've got this woman in this pink robe. It looks cold. This photo just feels cold. The light hitting, you know, the hard countertop there and the tabletop looks like, you know, cold winter. At least there are no leaves on the trees in the background there. The light and the colors, it just has that naturally cold feeling, and then kind of her posture there with her arms crossed, kind of looking over her shoulder. It feels cold. I wish I knew what was going on in this photo as well. This woman is, you know, watering her flowers, but it appears to be in front of either a mural or some kind of painting behind her. It's really, really trippy. I think this was one of the photos that I saw from the book that kind of caught my eye and made me look more into it. Don't know what's going on, but I love it. I love the light on her. That could be an artificial light. Maybe this is, you know, some kind of like theater scene. I have no idea, but I really, really love this photo. Another one of my favorites, this is a photo titled Newsroom 2005. The posture and everybody else not being visible except for this woman in red. And again, her in red really popping, standing out from everything else. It's just great. You've got all of these lights and cameras all pointed directly at her. Guy way in the back there, and like kind of the production booth, his face is kind of distorted because of a reflection. This woman on the right, you can't see her because she's behind this kind of like blue, almost looks like a blue like cellophane kind of wall there. And then the woman in red with all of the lights, all the cameras pointed at her, and she just looks so tense and uncomfortable. It's a really, really great photo. There really are just so many great photos in this book. Definitely recommend it, especially if you love just kind of getting lost in single images. This one will definitely do that for you. Last but not least, we have For Every Minute You Are Angry, You Lose 60 Seconds of Happiness. This is by Julian Germain, and it is also published by Mac Books. That wasn't really the plan today to share 3 different books, all published by Mac, but they're all great books. Mac publishes a lot of books and a lot of really great books. This book focuses on this elderly man named Charles, and it kind of focuses on him in his home by himself, really reminiscing on his past, especially with his late wife. One of my absolute favorite things about the book is that they scanned in these actual family albums, and when you flip through it, the spiral bound, spine of these old school family albums, it lays directly in the spine. So as you flip through it, you really feel like you're flipping through his own family photo album, and it's a really, really interesting touch. It's sort of tragic because you just feel for this man who has to be lonely, at least at times. There are photos of him smiling and laughing though. Reminiscing about someone you've lost is tough because you are thankful for all the good times that you had with that person, but then you just miss them even more. So it's uplifting and feel good, but at the same time, it's tragic. It's just such a great portrait of Charles and, this time in his life. You have all these different little elements of his daily life. You have photos of him making dinner, photos of his pantry, him sitting at the actual dinner table by himself. It's honestly one of my favorite books. I cried the first time I went through this book. The fact that Julie and Jermaine and Charles just happened to meet each other and then made this relationship and made these photos, and now it's this book. It's a really, really special thing. One of my favorite books. Definitely check this one out if you have a chance to pick it up. I think actually Mac recently listed on their site. They had some signed copies maybe. Look into it if you get a chance though. This is one of my favorites. And before I forget, I recently in a video talked about Tyler Mitchell's book, I Can Make You Feel Good. This is a great book. I talked about it in a previous video, but my good friend Chris Visser, he pre-ordered this book, and I think he pre-ordered it twice by accident, or pre-ordered from 2 different places. Basically, Chris has an extra copy of this book, and instead of just returning it and getting his money back, he's a good guy, and he said, hey, next time you make a photo book video, let me know, and we'll give one away in the comments. So if you want to win a copy of this book, all you gotta do is leave a comment, and that's it. I'll draw a random winner, let's say a week from when this video goes up. I will pin a comment with the winner, and yeah, we'll get you a copy of this one. It's good. But that's going to do it for today. Let me know if you guys have any questions or book recommendations of your own. If you want to see more stuff like this, please let me know. Always happy to do it, but that's it for today. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.